So we've released a number of songs on Mike Varney's U.S. Metal Compilation Series, a self-titled record that we produced our own selves, and people liked us. We had some good fans, and we thought everything was going great. We played a lot of big shows, in nice places and big places. And then Metallica hit, and they parted the crowd like Moses in the sea. All of a sudden, people who used to like us, there was one giant crowd, and there was a lot of people that showed up. After Metallica hit, that divided, like, took half of the people away because we weren't cool anymore. In fact, we were like a glam band because, the drummer wore purple spandex under his chaps. And that's another thing. The look we had was nails and spikes. What they called us was ghetto hardware metal. So we weren't really destined for Geffen Records, and I was fine with that. Well, we had our own niche, and I was ready to just exploit that and go harder and faster. And we released the second album. Actually, the song that I really like off Man's Best Friend is "Believe in Me," and here's a story about that. Okay, I'll tell you this story. I said we should do a cover of Ace of Spades by Motorhead, and maybe that will recapture some of the interest from people who like Motorhead and Metallica and stuff. And the band all said, "No, they suck. We hate Metallica. We don't like Metallica, and we don't like Motorhead, and we don't like Slayer." They didn't like anybody actually, and they like Foreigner and Journey. As you can tell later, the drummer Dean played with Journey and bad English, and that's just not my bag, man. I'm a Motorhead guy since 1978 when Pig Champion from Poison Idea turned me on to him, and they said, "No, we're not doing a Motorhead cover. No, we don't like them." So I wrote a song that's exactly like Ace of Spades, and I brought it to the band and said, "Hey, okay, let's check this song out." And I played it, and they thought, "Wow, that's pretty good." They had no idea that I was copying Ace of Spades. Sorry, Lemmy, I miss you. But that's how "Believe in Me" came about. And also the lyrics were, I felt something, like when you're in a relationship and your girlfriend isn't listening to you and it's just kind of, making fun of you, and which they did all the time. I embarrassed them, actually. I was the cock-blocking embarrassment of the group. So I was a spectacle. But people seem to remember that, so whatever. When we did that song, I wrote, "I want you to believe in me," because I didn't think they believed in me. But they were just looking for something else. So they were trying out a guy, Chris Ackenhausen, I think, from Haven, and Keith Flax from Sabotage. And they tried out this other guy. And I don't really care that they wanted to replace me. In fact, I almost expected that because I'm just not one of those guys, I was totally different. I was like the punk rocker and a bunch of guys who played in top 40 bands, and I just didn't fit from the beginning at all. So it's not the fact that they wanted to replace me, it's how they did it. And this is how they did it. So we had this lighting director from Night Ranger and Journey, and he was interested in helping us. And he's coming to town with Night Ranger, who I saw Night Ranger when they were just Ranger, opening up for Motorhead in 1981 at the Old Waldorf in San Francisco on the Ace of Spades tour. Who opened for them? I don't know. I just remember it because they had a box with a white plastic front with a light bulb behind it, and then those black letters you see, that you can buy. It said Ranger, and otherwise I wouldn't have known who the hell they were. But I didn't remember anything except how fucking great Motorhead was, loud as hell, penetrating my bones, and that's the kind of band that I wanted from the beginning. It's like I saw that. It's like, that's what I want to do. Sorry, I had to take a little side detour to really know what I didn't want to do. So, back to the story. This is how they let me know. Ken Mednick comes up to do this 2-night gig at the Civic with Black and Blue opening for Night Ranger. And so I meet with Ken the day, the first day, and we talk, we plot out a strategy and think, well, okay, we're going to record our next record. You know, what are we going to do after that? And yada, yada, yada. And, you know, he's saying, well, you got to go on tour. And I said, I can't leave because, you know, these other guys were rich. And so they always had their working wives to pay for their rent or their family or whatever. And I didn't have shit, man. The next night, I go to the show that night and nobody else in the band is there. The Night Ranger and Black and Blue. Had a good time with Black and Blue and watching the show, great seats. Came back the next day and had another meeting, and none of the other band guys were going to show up. So they were going to show up that night at the show. I invited them down to sit in on the meeting, but no, they're busy. They'll see me at the gig. So we go to the gig, and they sit in a different section, and we're in our front row balcony seats, me and Angie. And after the show, we go to the backstage, the door that goes onto the stage. It was a nice theater. It's where the opera plays. And there's one extra guy with Danny and his chick, and Dean and his chick, and Jeff and his wife, and one extra guy. And I said, hi, my name's Matt. And they all kind of cower down. See, I hate this crap when people don't tell me what's going on. They're afraid that I'm going to get mad by them replacing me, but I got 10 times more pissed that they were such pussies about it. So I get on the bus first. We go to meet on the tour bus with Ken. And I get on the bus first, and everybody else files in, and they're all kind of quiet. And they were quiet when we were waiting in a room for a while. And Jeff gets on last and says, Ken, this is our new singer, John. Hi. I said, what? I thought that was a joke. And I said, are you kidding me? No, we're going with John. Oh. And everybody is looking down at their feet and not looking at me at all. So I said, well, then what do I need to be here for? Oh, fuck off. And so we did. We left, and then John Tejeda joined the band. They'd been recording with him before this, and also with Keith Flax, you know. It'd been going on for months, I guess. But my loyal Matt fans, 30 years later, 35 years later, sends me the songs. Somehow he had, you know, because of Traitors, he had all the songs that Keith sang on and all the songs that John Tejeda sang on. And so I had to put them out on a CD called Evolution because it had every lineup of Wild Dogs, and you can see what direction they were going right before Reign of Terror. And it was more kind of like, you know, kind of ratish, you know, like, you know, they still were trying to be a major label cute guy band, which you can't fix ugly. And it just didn't have the same appeal. They sounded like everybody else when before we sounded different. So, but, you know, that's the name of that tune. If it happened once, okay, fine. But I guess John didn't work out, and I got a call and about 6 in the morning, and Jeff said, would you be interested in doing a gig with us? This is like 5 months later while I've got Evil Genius going. I said, rent me a car and I'll do it. So we go down to Yreka or Eureka, someplace in Humboldt County. And I hadn't seen any of these guys since that night. I do a bunch of gigs with the band from that time, you know, like all summer, and it's going great. I think we're recording some demos here. I'm sending out press releases to all my contacts. I'm back in the band. We're going to do another record. It's going to be great. We got some good material going, and then I get calls back and saying, hey, I thought you were back in the band. And I said, yeah, as far as I know. And they said, well, I got a press release from Ken Mednick that said that they've got a new, Wild Dogs has a new singer, and they're going to record a new record, and blah, da, 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 da. And I thought, so I called him up, and he said, yes, that's what's going on. We're doing that. And why didn't they tell you? And I said, well, you know how these guys are because you were there the last time. So I call each guy, I call them once and ask them, is this what the deal is? Each guy. And I called back Ken. I go, they're telling me no. And they said, well, they're lying to you. That's not right at all. No, we're going with, we got this. I've got this guy, you know, he's going to be the singer, Michael Furlong, who is kind of he had had some pop hits. He was on a big label. I can't remember which one. But they're on YouTube. And he's quite pretty in those, you know. It's like that kind of music. It's 80s. Foofy hair and love songs and I'm a runaway or I'm a breakout or something. But, you know, well produced, just not really exactly anything close to what made the band popular with us. That would be me, right? So I call another round to all three guys. We have a gig that Friday night, Dean's birthday at the Starry Nightclub. I make another call and they say, oh, no, Chip, that's not how it goes. It's, well, you're the man, you're the guy. We wouldn't dare get someone else. No, monsieur. I got it from all three guys that way. And I call back Ken and he goes, why are they being this way? I said, well, they're kind of that way. I call again. I call the roadies and they all tell me, no, we'll see you at the gig on Friday. It's going to be great. And so my friend Ari Boner, who is he was a drummer for the Imperialist Pigs. That's a band that was right before Poison Idea with Pig Champion and Jerry A. and Ari. And I forgot who else played in that band, but I produced them. Eric was always my best friend from kindergarten on. He taught me how to sing. Actually, he was a singer in my first band, the Electric Organic Rainbow Band, and it's like 8th grade, something like that. We later became Earthborn. They named a shampoo after us. Eric, who was the original punk rock collector guy, and Gigi Allen used to send him videos. Like he'd pay him $70 and he'd make videos of him doing shit like, wanking and stabbing pictures and stuff, and then he'd send it to Eric. And Eric and I we dropped a lot of acid together, and he was my best friend. So I trusted this when it came out of his mouth because it sounded like a really good idea. And here's the idea. Dude, you should go to the show like everything's cool. Everything's fine, no problem. Yeah, you're going to do the next record. Get dressed up, go on stage, and when you guys come out with all that fog and lights and bombast, before the first song starts, go up to the mic and say, thank you, good night, and then leave. Just split, totally bail. To an awaiting getaway car parked up the street. So I go out there to say, thank you, good night, run out the door, down the stairs, hit the street, up the bus mall where everybody's waiting to take their bus. That's where all the buses come, and you get on the bus and you go to your destination. And I'm running up to the car, which we had to park a ways away, and people are looking at me, and I get in the car, and I don't quite fit with the shoulder pads. The door won't close. I hadn't thought about that. I get in there, and I'm squinched up, and I'm thinking, holy fuck, I hope I don't get pulled over. And I drive this Volkswagen Bug, like a 1969 or something, over to the Villa, which isn't too far, and wait for them. The second part of our little prank was, I got like 15, 16, 17, I got a whole bunch of people in free who were all in on this scheme. And I said, wait until I'm off and gone and they haven't figured it out, and then they figure it out, and then once they figure out that I'm not coming back, go to the front door and demand your money back, which is $5 per head. And the guy that owned the Starry Night, Larry Horowitz, he didn't like to give anybody any money. He's very stingy that way. It's all his once it goes into the thing. But they all had stamps, and they all demanded their money. And I told them, space it out, because if everybody goes at once, it's gonna be bad. But if it looks like people are walking out because I'm not there, that's what we want. That's what they did. We made about $100 this way. So they stopped and got beer and stuff and came back to the villa and partied all night. I guess that pissed them off quite a bit. Dean ended up singing most of the songs, and a couple other people got up on stage, and so it was kind of like Star Search, or no, more like America's Got Talent. Or what's that other one? I don't know. But I got a phone call from Jeff the next day, and he wasn't very happy. And I said, well, I'm not very happy because you guys are spineless wimps, won't tell me what the hell's going on. It's not the fact that I'm getting replaced again. It's the fact that you're too, you're too wimpy to tell me what the deal is. We could have made a good, huge, big last gig with Matt blowout, and we could have, made a really big deal of it, and could have got a, video and stuff. But no, you got to be a weasel and say, don't tell anybody. We're just gonna do this, and then we'll shove it under the rug. And that's what happened. And so, of course, later on, after the Reign of Terror album came out, and they figured out Michael Furlong wasn't the guy they wanted to hang out with anymore, according to Dean, who's told me that more than once. And they call me back and, hey, you want to do some recording? Oh, yeah, enough time's passed. I've had a #1 record with Dr. Mastermind. I've taken the drummer that you based your whole band on out of the band and got him a real paying job, which led to a super high paying job and a string of very lucrative offers, which he would never have gotten being in Portland. Part of the Dr. Mastermind deal was, okay, you get this image, you wear a costume. If you can get Dean, hey, if you can get Dean paying gigs, I bet I could see if he would want to move down there and be a real professional drummer, and because he's closer to everything there in San Francisco area. That's exactly what happened. So I had my day in the sun on the major label finally on CBS Sony in Japan with Dr. Mastermind. I was on 2 records that summer, 1986. Dr. Mastermind. The day after I did this to the Wild Dogs guys, left them on stage, I get a call from the Slayer hippie from Mayhem, and you might know him more from Poison Idea, but Mayhem was his band since he was like 13. And he said, hey, that was hilarious. A lot of people thought I was really awesome for leaving him stranded on stage with a full house on Dean's birthday. He said, come and play with us. Come and sing with us. We always wanted you as our singer. You're the greatest, come on, do this. No problem. I'll be right up. So I lived in the low end of the same area. So I went over, then it just kind of fit. I played with Mayhem all summer, all year for, close to a year. And we did a lot of gigs, high racks. And we did a gig with a band from Italy called Raw Power, who the drummer I met in Germany, and then he's talked to me. He said, I'm so worried that Tom, I racked up a big phone bill. They stayed at Pig Champion's house, Tom Roberts, the guitarist for Poison Idea. And I also hooked Steve Hanford up with Poison Idea, and they all joined Poison Idea after Mayhem, and I did the Dr. Mastermind record. So he said, oh, I'm worried that I go, Tom's dead. Don't worry about it. And I think the bill's been taken care of by now. And so Mayhem was fun, man. First time I'd been in a band in like 5 years where the guys in the group weren't making excuses for me, and that's what I like about playing with Robert Robinson and Troy Stutzman. They never have done that. The Wild Dogs, the original guys, were very uptight. Jeff and Danny were very uptight and easily embarrassed by anything that was, resembled rock and roll, actually. And they'd always, oh yeah, don't pay attention to him. He's just a crazy guy. Where the other guys, no, they'll retell stories of me at my complete insane, like naked at the Starry Night rubbing pizza all over my body, high on like 9 hits of acid. Yeah, there you are. Can you see the real me? Can ya? Yeah. Well, since then I've mellowed out quite a bit because I got a DUI in 1989, December 4th actually, after I had moved out of the villa. There was a little discrepancy on my pay, and the old buzzard that was the boss, the owner of the apartment. See, I managed the villa. The villa was a apartment building, 36 units, down in North Portland, and it was built in 1928. Roaches, rats, mice. You could hear the mice running up over your head because it was just filthy. But I needed a job. You know, I had no place to live, no money, no job. I was highly unemployable at the time, and with Billy Idol hair when I had hair, so it was like somebody hit me with an egg beater. I was very unemployable, but I could be an apartment manager because they needed somebody as dumb as me to live in this squalor and repaint and clean and do the booklet of code violations was that thick. And the original owner, lived up the street, knew my stepdad. He thought, oh yeah, you're from our area, this will be great. I had to evict forcibly at least a dozen people who were camping out there. Some at gunpoint. I just wore a 45 and a shoulder holster and some of my Road Warrior, my gear, so I looked like Mad Max when I vacuumed the hallways at this place. And I heard them plotting to rip me off once, and so I busted the door down. I didn't open it. I just kicked it through because I had an extra one. I said, excuse me, I can hear you talking, and what I did to your door is going to be nothing to what I'm going to do to your head if you want to try that. I'm always open for this. I like a little excitement. And I went and got a door, replaced the lock, just like nothing happened. I guess I was a little bit nuts.